Hi, 7th graders. Welcome back. Today we're reviewing Unit 4 content on Manifest Destiny. Our goal today is to describe America during its expansion period. So a little bit about why and how America expanded. After the Louisiana Purchase, Americans began to look westward. The belief in manifest destiny became very popular. Manifest destiny means the belief that America was destined, it was born to expand across the North American continent. So here we see this is the Louisiana Purchase. Remember that was peacefully purchased from France. After the Louisiana Purchase, people start moving west and thinking, hey, there's even more land west. We want to keep going and expand from sea to shining sea. Because of Manifest Destiny, many Native Americans were hurt. White settlers began to take their land and destroy the natives' habitats. So, one example of destroying the habitats would be the killing of buffalo. A lot of Europeans killed buffalo along the plains in order to help their trains better move from from place to place. But this disrupted the plains natives' way of life. Here we see another example of natives losing their land. This is that Trail of Tears that Andrew Jackson issued that forced the natives out of their land to make room for white settlers from America. America expanded through a variety of ways. Sometimes it expanded through warfare, like the Mexican-American War, and here we have a picture of the Mexican-American War being fought at the Alamo. Sometimes it was fought through treaties, like the Adams-Onis Treaty, or the treaty that led to the Louisiana Purchase. And sometimes America expanded by simply declaring that land now belonged to them, like the Indian Removal Act when those Native Americans were removed from their homelands. And here we see a map of U.S. expansion. We see that the Louisiana Purchase, that was what originally gets people thinking about Manifest Destiny. This land here, the Mexican Secession and the Texas annexation, were won from the Mexican-American War. So here the United States fought a war in order to gain land from another country. So now that all of this land is purchased, people are beginning to move west. The Oregon Trail and the California Gold Rush encouraged many people to give up their possessions in the east and move west. They hoped to build a better future and a better life by either farming in more fertile land or by striking it rich by finding gold. For the gold rush, though, the only people to really get rich were people like shopkeepers who were selling mining equipment or women who would work in hotels or do things like laundry for the 49ers. Here we see this is that Oregon Trail, so people would leave from the east and they would head west. The Oregon Trail was created by cutting out a path in the forests, so it was kind of a man-made road that people would follow in order to move west. It was very dangerous, but people were willing to risk it in order to have a chance at a better life. And here are some people mining for the California gold rush. Remember the miners, there were very few people that found gold and struck it rich, but the people who did get rich were those who would sell equipment to the miners or do services for the miners, like laundry or creating food for them. Another thing that encouraged westward movement was the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act gave white Americans access to land in the Midwest. There were few trees, and farming was sometimes difficult, but many people chose to live this lifestyle. So this here is an example of something that someone would receive, saying that they were given some land in the Midwest. And here's what it was like in the Midwest. You can see very few trees, lots of grass. Even their home was built out of sod, which is basically like packed together dirt. It was a tough life, but many people did it hoping that it would be an improved life from their lives in the East. As people are moving farther and farther west and the country is becoming larger, transportation needs to improve so that people can get around a lot faster. So expanding railroads, bridges, and canals help to make travel west faster and cheaper. As transportation routes improved, more people chose to travel west. So instead of doing the dangerous Oregon Trail, as railroads are being built, it's a lot easier to move west. Canals are dug to help ships pass and boats pass in areas that don't actually have rivers. It's like a little man-made river for boats. During this time, the population in urban areas, and remember, urban means city, so we're talking about urbanization right here. That means that America is beginning to move more towards cities. During this time, the population of urban areas grew. This happened as a result of the Industrial Revolution and immigration. New people begin seeking factory jobs, and a wave of immigrants from around the world begin to travel to America. So here we see some people working in factory jobs. As the Industrial Revolution happens, more things are being industrialized. There are machines to do work for us. And so people stop making things by hand and they begin working in factories. Now let's talk a little bit more about these immigrants. Immigrants, like the Irish who were escaping the potato famine, hoped to build a better life in America. Immigrants helped to build railroads, to work in factories, but some Americans protested their arrival. The Know Nothing Party was founded to oppose immigration. Immigrants hoped to live the American dream, but many were treated very poorly in America. So we have people escaping bad things back home, like the Irish with the potato famine or the Germans with a political revolution. But when they get to America, instead of being welcomed, kind of seeing the streets paved with gold, there are people like the Know Nothing Party that are trying to oppose their arrival. And so they weren't treated quite as well as they thought they would be. Here we see a picture from the potato famine in Ireland. Their crops, their main staple for food were potatoes, and a disease killed most of the crops. So people either starved to death or had to leave Ireland. And so we see people are moving around the country. The country is becoming more industrialized. There's better transportation. The country is just really changing. And this leads to new regional economies. Soon, different parts of the country are specialized in different economic activities. The South is growing things like cotton. The Northeast is using things like factories to turn raw materials like cotton into manufactured goods. And the Midwest is growing grains. We're going to see when we talk more about Unit 5 that America is becoming more and more sectionalized. So we talked about sectionalism. Each area of the country is going to be so different that once the Civil War breaks out, these differences are going to play a role in that war. All right, y'all have